Dude, when I went for a run today, it was like there was snow on the ground. The amount of cottonwood.
Oh,
it was crazy.
Then that's what's bothering me. I know for sure I'm allergic to cottonwood.
Oh, yeah. It was a carpet.
That's what I was saying the other night when it was like blowing outside. It was just like the air was full of it. Mm-hmm. Great.
I'm so glad I'm not allergic to anything anymore.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Definitely
so lucky.
Itchy. Anyway, I do need to check if I look good. Because I was kind of, I put it out there on the last podcast.
Let's put those crazy little, like, above the ear hairs behind your ears so they don't stick out sideways like a crazy professor.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, I was just saying, I kind of put it out there last
Did you get any bites?
Surprisingly, not exactly,
wasn't the result you were expecting?
Yeah, they're not pounded on the door. They're not, you know what I mean? Like, it's not been a flood of attention, which I was expecting.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's a bummer. I'm doing something wrong, I guess. Anyway,
maybe it's me.
Maybe it is.
Maybe. Anyway. Man, my ears are still ringing a little bit. Not from the show we went to last night.
Right.
But because I was jamming to our songs on the way home tonight.
Oh, man, that's so great that it's still...
Yeah.
Well, and you did not only incredible vocal production. I mean, you produced yourself on the vocals. You also did incredibly inventive percussion for that song.
Oh, yes. Let's talk about that. So our next single is going to be a song called Make It Right.
Right.
It's an interesting... The verses are really interesting because they're this conversation between the vocal and the bass. It's a very sparse track. And it's like this bass does something, vocal does something, back and forth. But initially when we put it together, one of us put in a topper, which is a percussion loop. Like whatever. Like it's like a...
Or it could be hi-hats, or it could be like a little filter drum beat. Anyway, it's a percussion loop,
Yeah, it's something that we just loop it on top. And it's the same thing all the way through, and it's very generic. It's from Apple. It's an Apple loop.
I don't know if you did it or I did it.
I don't even
somehow
know.
It just made it in this
There's 3 of them in there, actually.
Yeah.
So you suggested that I try to reproduce that using whatever.
Because you've done that on other songs of ours.
Yes.
What has some coffee cup playing?
It's a pint glass.
Oh, it's a pint glass.
Yeah.
That you were playing on what?
So the sound in what that goes is me hitting a half full pint glass and then pitching it up and down.
And then pitch shifting.
Shifted it. So, and also when I did those covers, I did the 20 covers in 100 days, like last year or whenever. Mm-hmm. And one of those covers was River by Bishop Briggs. And that has a sort of Chang Gang sort of sound. It's like a stomp. And then it's what sounds like a bunch of chains dropping on the ground.
Yeah.
And so I reproduced that with a bag of, like a Ziploc bag full of coins and nuts and bolts.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And you were dropping it. And then...
Yeah. So, for Make It Right, I walked around the house and I was just like hitting stuff. I took one of your drumsticks and I was just like hitting stuff and like what makes a cool sound. The first thing I found was this singing bowl, which I use as a place to store cables. But it's a singing bowl. And I did a little tapping on it. So that's part of what's going to be in there.
And pounding on...
I pounded on a plastic box that's full.
Oh, a bin, yeah.
A bin, like a storage bin that's full of photo albums. And
my favorite was the paper.
It wasn't paper, it was the plastic around the paper. So when you buy
printer
paper, it comes in that like plastic that doesn't hold it together for very long, but it's this really crackly paper. And so I did a pattern that was like with the crackly...
With the open end.
With the open end of the paper, yeah. So
the paper...
just crackle, crackle, crackle.
Paper container.
Yeah.
Yeah, and mixed into the track, you would not guess it was weird stuff like that. It sounds so cool. But also part of... We were listening last night, and it doesn't sound like it's odd profound sounds, but you also can't identify it as anything.
Yeah.
It's just like cool percussion. It's this rolling kind of chicka 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 percussion, but you know, it's 5 tracks of you doing weird stuff around
in the house. Yeah.
Yeah.
With my fingernails and my fingers.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah. So recording those vocals.
Oh yeah, back to the vocals. Yeah.
Gosh, we have so much to talk about tonight, so I want to go too deep. But those vocals were so hard to record, and they sound so easy. The result sounds
it
so
sounds
easy,
effortless.
It's so weird.
It sounds thrown away, like you're just tossing it out there. You're not even.
And it's the opposite of that. It's the weirdest thing. So, singers are always looking for the most efficient way to make sound, right? The most sound for the least amount of effort. And not because we're lazy, but because that is the most healthy way to make sound. You don't want to overtax these tiny little vocal cords because they have a lot of work to do. And they're...
Guitar is the same way.
Oh, yeah.
You want to move your fingers the least amount to play all the notes.
Yeah.
Because the less you move your fingers, the faster you can go.
Yeah.
You know, similar idea.
So, so I've gotten good at making a lot of sound with a little effort. And that tends to be a really resonant sound, and it's pretty bright, and it's great for rock.
Resonant's a great word.
Yeah. Yeah. It has a lot of sound for the production effort. But what I wanted on this track was something that wasn't so piercing, basically. This track is very understated, and so I wanted a lot of air hiss in my sound. Tinted lenses, build the fences, no consequences. I didn't want tinted lenses, build the fences, no consequences, right?
I don't know if everybody else is hearing this, but the difference between those two it's huge. Those are 2 totally different sounds.
Right. And in that pitch range, that's easy to produce. But in a higher pitch range where my vocal cords are stretched more, so in the chorus,
when the melody goes up.
Hey, so, hey, what we doing? It's much easier to be resonant. Hey, what we doing?
It's kind of ear-hurting. It's so loud.
That's so easy. It is so much harder, and it was making me cough to go, hey, what we doing? Or what are we? Sorry, I got it wrong.
Yeah, but whatever.
Because I'm literally holding my vocal cords apart to let more air sneak through so that it's not so piercing and resonant because I want that air wash through it.
Yeah.
So I did I think I sang the word hey 80 times. Because my voice was I can't do this. It was hey! There's all this tension in my voice. It was so hard.
It is so weird that you can do so many different things with your voice, like flipping a switch. You're I could do it this way, or I could do it this way.
Course.
It's just you're just
that's
those are totally different.
That's what I do.
That is what you do.
Yeah. Anyway, but it turned out great.
It turned out great. And your doubling we were talking about that too, which, by the way, most of the time on modern pop records, not if you were listening to Frank Sinatra or something, but certainly modern records going back to, I was talking about in the car, Skynyrd, all the vocals are doubled, at least maybe tripled. It's just where a singer in a studio situation would sing a lead vocal and then sing along with themselves, not a harmony, not different notes, the exact same notes, and try to match themselves. And then what you're really hearing is 2 voices, or 3, or 6, or 10. And it just makes the voice sound kind of supernaturally big, and all the little differences that you barely can hear, but it just makes it seem so much more thick and rich. And you've really gotten great at that.
Oh my gosh.
Or you did a great job on this track. Obviously,
it was easy.
Really hard on it.
Once I got the first track down, doing the second track was often just 1 or 2 takes. The double was just 1 or 2 takes.
Because you found
I figured out how I wanted to do it.
Right.
And my voice sounds so silky.
That's what doubles. That's part of what it does. It's that silky, velvety thing. You know, that just sounds amazing, and you've heard it a million times.
Anyway, let's move on from that because we have so much to talk about. Oh my gosh, it's been a good week.
Yeah, it's been a great week. Gosh, where to go next? So, let's talk about the Boogienauts.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Fabulous Boogienauts.
Yeah. A Denver band that's been around for a long time.
90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think. A long time.
Yeah. And our friend Ryan Smiley, who also plays with the corporation Journey to the Heart.
She did. I think she's phasing out of that.
Okay, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah,
anyway.
well, she's splitting her time between Colorado and Florida, starting now.
Okay, so. Well, you obviously know her better than I do.
Yeah, but anyway, she's phenomenal. But she's in the scene, and I wanted to check out her crazy big band. So it's original funk. So
right,
I am a big fan of it being original funk. Not just like, the same funk that was written in the 70s. Like, they've done their own stuff, and it's good.
Covers. It's very good
stuff.
It's very good. Yeah. I'm going to not say a lot of things, but but they're great. They're really unbelievable. And just in the tightness of the band, and also in the composition of the tunes was great.
Mm-hmm. They were really well-written songs.
Really,
And they're two lead singers, so it's Ryan and I don't know the name of the...
I think Monica, maybe?
I don't know.
I could be, whatever.
But they're both phenomenal.
Yeah.
The whole band has a lot of energy. They're fun to look at. And Ryan's shoes.
Oh, well, they were all dressed up in all these outfits and, great horn section, 4-piece horn section.
Yeah. Yeah. Big band.
Yeah.
And Herman's pleasantly surprised us as well. We've been to Herman's a bazillion times through the years.
Yeah, which Herman's Hideaway is in some circles, nationally famous. That's been an original rock music venue since the 60s. I mean, since there was such a thing as...
Since the 60s?
Since the 60s.
Wow.
That place is, on the map as, since there were rock bands touring, Herman's was one of the places you could play in the country. And it smelled like it.
It used to smell like it.
It used to smell like it. They really did an amazing job. It's so nice and a clean feeling. Like, it just feels clean.
Yeah.
In there. And the sound system, they redid the sound system from the ground up, apparently. And the sound was immaculate. I have a few things I would critique opinion-wise. Similar, we'll talk about seeing Rival Sons in a minute, but there was a similar sound thing where tons of sub, just the lows, and then the drums, like the snare and hi-hat and stuff, weren't very up in the mix.
Oh.
Hi-fi, in a hi-fi sense, the sound was great. In a taste sense where it just, it was interesting to hear that twice in 1 week where it's like, I kind of can't feel the groove. Like, I'm not getting hit by the drums. There's not I can hear it. It's certainly in the sound system, but I'm not, it's not just...
Do you think that's a lack of mid to high? Like the mid to high is the definition, so that's what gives you the groove?
That is 100% what it is.
Oh.
And at that Herman show, the kick drum was thunderous, but it had no high mid snap to it.
Oh.
It didn't have any click to it where you're like, gah, gah,
right. So you know exactly where the start of it is.
Right. It just was like this boom, boom.
Right.
That said, I mean, it sounded... That's some quibbly taste stuff where I from taste, I would like to hear something different. Overall, it sounded just gorgeous and hi-fi, and
you could hear the voice really well, which is...
The voices were... Well, that's the most important thing. And they were nice and clear, and everything was, and the sound guy was on it. Like, every solo he was pushing. He could, they had 4 horn players, and one of the guys would go into a solo, and he clearly pushed up the solo. Like, he was really paying attention.
And you were really paying attention.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But we had a great time, and it was so great to be at Herman's again and see how, that it's still going on, and it's nice, and it's improving, everything's great. And the Boogienauts were great.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll be a jerk here. I was not expecting to like it. I was like, I'm going to go, and I'm going to wait till it's over. And they were great. You know what I mean?
You're not a fan of funk.
I don't like funk. I really do not. Yeah. I have a similar relationship with reggae where it's like, well, obviously I like Bob Marley and Lee Perry, and I'm similar with funk where it's like, well, obviously I like James Brown and like Parliament, and you know, but in general, it's just not my,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
especially the Waka Chicka Waka Chicka. That's so cheesy. Anyway, it's the worst. I don't know.
Well, you said that this was twice in 1 week. We had the same experience of like I can hear the kick drum really well, but I'm not feeling the groove.
Right, and we were at Rival Sons last night, which, by the way, recommendations. We were trying to make that a thing. Recommendation. Listen to Rival Sons. Like seriously, people doing music now, like current, they're doing it as good as anybody, and maybe as good as bands even back in the 70s. Like we were talking, they're very Zeppelin formula, meaning it's the lone guitar player, virtuoso bass player, drummer who plays a big kit and he's just real bashy, and the real intense lead singer. It's totally Zeppelin formula. They don't really sound like Zeppelin, and they completely have their thing. Kind of a mind-blowing band. So, recommendation, go listen to Rival Sons. If you like classic rock, you will like Rival Sons, but they're doing it now. Their guitar player, Scott, is like a master of guitar tones. He just, like, his guitar tones are original and just so tasty, and there's so many different ones. And anyway, so we went to see them at the Ogden Theater last night.
Was it them where you felt like you couldn't feel a groove, or was it the opener?
Not at all. It was the opener, who I didn't catch the name of.
Yeah, I have no idea who it was.
Yeah. The drums were technically in the PA, but part of the reason you couldn't really groove to it is they weren't just, you couldn't feel it, you know? And the sub of the bass was just distracting, where it was just like vibrating. It was just so...
And all their songs, you cracked me up. Like their songs were very repetitive. They all, in my world, like songs have a color.
Oh yeah, right.
Like the emotional.
That way too.
I mean, it's not actual synesthesia, but I feel like songs like have an emotional color, and all of their songs were the exact same shade of brown black.
Right.
And you said, okay, we've heard Monster Mash 5 times now.
Yeah, I was like, because all the songs also they had like that creepy organ sound, like was very prominent in the songs. That kind of like organ sound, and yeah, I was like, I can't believe they just covered Monster Mash 5 times in a row. It was all scary music. Yeah. It was such a weird, and you were like, and it was weird too, because you said this, and you were totally right. You didn't realize they were even done with their set.
Yeah.
Until like people walked out and they started like taking the instruments away.
I know.
And you were like, oh, I guess that was the end.
Yeah.
Like, it was
an interesting approach to stagecraft on this band. The lead singer wore a ball cap pulled way down over his eyes.
Yeah.
So there was no light hitting his face, and he kind of kept his head down, so you couldn't see his face at all. Maybe the people in the front could, but we were up and back. We couldn't.
It was kind of taken low key to another level.
Oh my God.
It was.
And when he would talk, it was totally mumbly. You couldn't understand a word he was saying. And then they didn't do a closing type song, and they certainly didn't end the song like it was a closer. They just like played another song that sounded like Monster Mash, and then waved and walked off stage. And it was so weird.
It was like, yeah, it's just so, yeah. On the other hand, Rival Sons killed it. I will lodge an official complaint into the world.
Yeah.
There was a 45-minute changeover.
Oh my gosh.
It was brutal.
It's a Sunday night.
It's a Sunday night.
It's after 8:30.
The opening band got done at the second opening band got done at 8:40, and Rival Sons didn't make it until 9:25. So it was like a total 45-minute, and it wasn't even like the crew was rushing around. And we saw James. If you happen to see this, we're not talking shit. Our friend who's a sound guy was there, and we saw him on stage and stuff, and he was clearly working the crew, but they weren't even in a hurry. They were just like taking their time. It took 20 minutes for that band to get off stage, like, and then for them to like come out and set up for the next thing. It was like, it wasn't like this huge rush and the band just didn't come out. It was just like, man, they were taking their time.
Yeah, and it wasted some goodwill, honestly. I mean, at least on our part.
I felt very much that way.
And I think with the crowd as a whole, because a lot of people left shortly after they started playing.
A lot of people. Like, I mean, not a quarter of the crowd or anything crazy like that, but...
No, but I was having trouble seeing before they started.
Right.
And 15 minutes in, my view was clear.
Yeah. It was maybe up to a tenth.
Yeah.
You know, just where like... It was getting late and like...
bored and getting pissed off. I was on the verge of saying, if they don't come out in 5 minutes, I'm leaving.
I was there too.
Yeah. And
I was drinking a beer.
Yeah.
How often am I drinking a beer and I'm unsatisfied? Like, usually I'm good. I was like, this is out of hand, though.
Yeah.
Like it was just so long. Who knows? Stuff may have been happening.
Yeah.
You know.
Who knows?
I wouldn't... I would say takeaways from the show. Do you have any from seeing them?
Oh, well, I had a funny observation that we made.
Yeah.
There was a hidden percussionist.
Yeah, that was
cracked
funny.
me up. So I saw the lead singer playing some lazy tambourine. I was like, wow, that sounds really good for him being just kind of like, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I noticed there was a guy crouched down behind the bass amp playing tambourine into a microphone.
Which they had, you know, these big, huge bass amps. And there was a guy, and he had like, there were like 2 or 3 microphones back there, and he was like playing shaker, and he was playing tambourine, and he was like playing triangle at one point.
Was he?
Yeah, he had like a triangle.
Triangle?
Ding,
oh
da,
my
ding,
God.
da, ding. Yeah,
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, he was like, apparently not a member of the band. They apparently didn't endorse him being on stage because he was like hidden. But you could kind of see him behind
could see
him.
like the top half of his head and his hands near the mic.
Yeah.
Like...
And he was great.
Yeah.
Percussion guy, you were great. I wish I knew the guy's name. The drummer from Rival Sons.
Oh, he's so good.
One of my favorite drummers. Very
inspiring.
Very, very Ryan Elwood, very Randy Lane from No Address. Like just that kind of drummer, and just like, oh my gosh. I you know, it was loud. We were at a concert, but I was going to point out to you to like watch his right hand, because he is just like, you know, the right hand on the drum kit is the part that's doing the 8th note part. So it's going.
Oh, right, because it's on the hi-hat.
On the hi-hat or the ride.
Yeah.
And that guy, it's just like his right hand is just like a machine. He's like leading the whole band with that. You know, it's just driving the whole thing.
Did you have any takeaways from the concert?
Yeah, I did. I would say they did a really great job of, you know, we've talked about it before. They did a great job of sprinkling new material that you maybe didn't know that well, and the hits that you were like, this is why I came to see the show. They really mixed it up nicely.
Yeah, they had a nice set flow.
They had an excellent set flow. And they did that long jammy one.
Yeah.
That we both really liked, where it got really jammy and
really out there.
Really out there, and it was right in the perfect spot of the set.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then they followed it up with exactly what you would expect, which was like a hit, but like the 4th most popular hit or something. It was just, that's exactly what you would do there. And, you know, and the singer went on this like whole speech about, you know, a very emotional thing about someone he knew that had been addicted to drugs, and then the song was also about someone he knew that had been a veteran and the negative. And I got choked up, and it wasn't the subject. It was just being in a room with a bunch of people all on the same vibration. Like he did it. Like he pulled everybody in, and we were, you know, the whole room was feeling that way. And it got me, because I was like, okay, this is rock and roll. This is rock and roll, you know? And they were great. I mean, just killer band. They are on tour until November.
It's crazy.
Looking at the website, they're
playing every day or two through November, with the exception of, I think, a week or 10 days off to get to Europe.
Yeah. That is just
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, hard working guys. So that was so much fun, and we were laughing so much.
Yes, I was going to bring that up.
So the Ogden Theater is on Colfax, which, by the way, is the very first place I experienced in Denver, Colorado, because when I was on tour years ago, we played at the Ogden. The first time I'd ever been in Colorado, we played at the Ogden Theater. And so the only part I saw was the 3 or 4 blocks around the Ogden Theater. And I was like, well,
not the best
Denver's
part of Denver.
Real crappy. Like, don't go to Denver. It's terrible. Most of Denver is not like that.
Yeah, the crazy bus stop is right by there.
Yeah. So it's on Colfax, which Colfax we've talked about before, Route 66. But through most of Denver, it's the crazy part of town.
Yeah.
It's the real wild, the crazy bus stop we talk about.
People just talking to themselves or talking to the world at large.
Which is a bus stop where there's always 10 people there, and all of them are always screaming.
Yes.
At each other, at the wind, like, I don't know, but like it's the loudest bus stop you've ever seen.
So that sets the scene for the not pride flags, not as in pride, like LGBT pride, but like the local neighborhood pride flags that are up all along Colfax, like on the street lights.
Yeah, they have the banners.
The banners, yeah.
Advertising the neighborhood.
Yeah,
like,
come to Colfax because. And what did they say? Colfax, less fancy, more fun.
Right.
With a picture of a cartoon beer.
A cartoon beer stein.
A cartoon beer stein that has 3 eyes.
Yeah, so he's blurry.
Even our beer is drunk.
We had so much fun making up alternative titles.
Like, Colfax, don't worry about dressing up.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Colfax, we don't judge. We're really not going to judge you.
Colfax, we give up. We are what we are.
We just give up. My favorite one was, though, the one that was just the slogan that's just noises, like, Colfax. Colfax.
Could you aim any lower?
Could you lay
your image?
It's so unbelievable. We're giving up. Colfax is a total nightmare.
We admit it. It's not going to change.
Everyone's drunk. Even our beer is drunk.
Oh my God.
It was so funny that they just...
Great times.
Yeah, we were dying. I couldn't stop laughing about it.
Oh my gosh, you were also making me laugh at dinner. We had tacos and a beer before dinner, and you told me about Anastasia, who you're recording with.
So I've been, like, producing a ton of artists lately. We've been doing a lot of songs, and one of them is from Russia, and we were working on this song, and it's a song that's very sparse. There's a lot of space in it. And she was having trouble keeping the lyrics in rhythm. And so I put in a click track, which was just like a metronome thing, so she could, hear to stay on time, because the music is so sparse in the front half of the song. And she was like, oh, I hear it, but I'm just like, I'm not getting it. Like, I'm like not reacting. And it's like, again, and then she tried it again, and she was like, oh, I'm just having trouble reacting to it. It's like I'm Estonian or something.
And you were like, what does that mean?
I turned around and I was like, what? And she was like, no, it's okay for me to say that. I'm half Estonian. And I'm like, that's not, you misinterpreted. I wasn't like, what? Oh my God, you said something about Estonians? I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So she explained, like, apparently in Eastern Europe, Estonians are known to be, like, not dumb, they're just kind of, like, very staid and reserved people, and they react to things slowly. So someone tells a joke, and everyone else in the room laughs, and then 2 minutes later, the Estonian laughs. And apparently, in part of the world, that's such a common thing to know that you could say, oh, I'm like an Estonian over here, with how slowly I'm catching on to what's going on. I was like, I told you, it was one of those things where I'm not even laughing, but that is so funny to me that I just need a minute. Like, I need to sit in that. It's so funny that I was like, you... She said, no, I'm half Estonian. I can say that. And I was like, I don't think you understand how much I don't know what you're talking about. That is not why I'm shocked. It's like now I know two things about Estonia. Number one, it exists, and number two, apparently they're known for being a little slow.
Learn something new every day, don't you?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. But oh my god, yeah, I felt like we laughed so much this week. Let's make our third quarter turn here.
Right.
What else do we have to? Okay, so JJ's drum camp.
Oh yeah, I did a drum camp on Sunday, meaning I attended as a bassist. I attended a drum camp. So Pamela Makala's band drummer, JJ Jones, teaches drums.
We've talked about, yeah, she fell off a stage.
Oh yeah, that's right. She's known for falling off stages. Yeah. Oh, I'm a JJ over here.
She might as well be Estonian for how well she stays on stages.
Anyway, she teaches drums to women specifically, and she had a women's drum camp at Band Cave, and it went all weekend, and then at the end of it, she brought in Pamela and me so that we could play as a band. So it was 5 drummers and Pamela and me. And that was great. They were intermediate players, so they're pretty good.
Oh, that's so fun.
We played some of Pamela's songs, and we did Dreams.
Great.
Which I sang, and Superstition, and, it was, just there for an hour. But it was cool. It's really cool. I feel like I am coming across more and more women in the rhythm section lately. It's awesome.
Oh, I mean, it's night and day compared to,
Yeah.
I mean, even in the 2000s, that was like so not a thing that it was really remarkable.
Yeah. I feel like it's becoming, it's not quite there, but it's getting close to being unremarkable to see a woman on drums or a woman on
And
bass.
that's what's great about it. I mean, it used to be if you were just a woman bass player, you are by default famous, or Kim Deal, or, you know what I mean? It's just like, oh my God, Yvette or whatever her name is from White Zombie.
But so that's not much to talk about there, but it was just a fun little thing.
Fun.
I'm happy to be involved with that.
Yeah.
And then the thing that's really on the radar right now is we are about to start rehearsal for the resumption of Adrienne O the band.
Yeah.
So we rehearse this Thursday and next Thursday, and I'm just pulling in all my favorite people. Well, not all of them. I mean, because I have more favorite people than I could fit in a band.
Right, but
unfortunately,
it's a band of,
I love all the people that are in this band. And it's basically the Petty Nicks experience or the Showcase band, more or less.
Take your pick.
Yeah.
We work with the same people.
Yeah.
It was funny that even Vic, the band leader of the Petty Nicks band, was like, oh, so how are rehearsals going? And we're like, yeah, we haven't started rehearsing yet. We're rehearsing twice.
I know.
And he was like, yep, I guess that's how you guys do it. Not a lot of rehearsal.
Yeah, and I feel like 2 rehearsals is even like asking for an indulgence from these guys. Like, I
really
know we could do it in 1. I know we would be solid, but like, just for me,
let's
can we
do
2?
Yeah.
I mean, it'll give us a chance to iron out anything. I mean, in particular, because like these songs have several tracks of guitars and synth, some of them, and we have 3 people capable of playing a lot of that stuff. So there's some arrangement that needs to happen among you guys. Have you gotten to Julian to tell him what to play yet?
No, but I know what I need to do, and it'll all be fine. Yeah, and I feel like it'll be good to have stuff worked out a little bit too, and we can talk through in rehearsal what the transitions will be, because for an Adrienne O show, this is going to be a little talkier. I think people they're coming specifically to see you and us, and it's going to be a little less of a song, like just...
Not a lot of
and
talking,
the Hard Rock
but,
Cafe is a sit-down venue.
Yeah.
So it's not a everybody's up and dancing thing. So it's going to be a little bit more of a, certainly not a dinner show because the music is so energetic, but like,
Yeah. So, we've talked through where I'm going to talk and what I'm going to say and where I'm not going to talk, where I'm going to talk over an intro and where I'm going to talk between songs.
Right.
And I started practicing today. As you can see, my notes are up on my screen there.
Yeah.
There's a lot, there are 2 levels to preparing for a show. There's playing the song or singing the song successfully start to finish. I could practice that in my car.
Right.
For singing. for bass, I can practice it standing here. And then there is performing the show, which is an additional layer of preparation.
Right.
So for me, in this show, that includes what settings am I going to use on my vocal pedal.
Right.
Because I'm going to use some reverb and some delay and some distortion and some doubles. Mm-hmm. So I've got 4 settings that I'm going to be turning on and off, which sounds easy. It's just to hit a button. It's not a big deal. But it's one more little thing to think about. And then I'm going to be playing tambourine here and there, which you just might have heard because the cat is grooming herself over the tambourine. And so there's, where am I picking up the tambourine? Where am I... when am I playing it? What's the pattern that I'm playing? And then there is, when am I talking? What am I saying? She's nuzzling the tambourine.
Rubbing her face on the
musician.
tambourine. Yeah.
So practice, that's a different kind of practice than just like, can I sing this song? Is it memorized?
Yeah, it is very different. And I'm doing a lot of the same thing where 90% of the time that I play guitar, I've got the same sounds and patches that I've got, just kind of a basic palette of colors for like, okay, well, here's a rock thing, so this is my rock sound, and here's a clean guitar thing or a funk thing, and so here's my thing I do there. And for this show, I'm going to be using a lot more sounds and a lot more effects and a lot more custom sounds, like, sounds for just this song. So you do have to work on, the pedal switching.
Right.
Because I'm very used to the same sounds I use and the pedals I hit to do different things. And now it's like some new stuff going on with the playing. So, it's interesting how there are different levels, and there's, different levels of being ready, but it's going to go great. I mean, it's going to, we're excited. And we worked out all the, talking points and stuff, and feeling really good about that. It's interesting how very often the way to improve a talking point is to take stuff out of it. That's so often true.
And that stuff is going to get added back in.
Well,
in the real moment.
And that is maybe the pro trick, is you're going to get a little nervous. Not nervous, but you're just going to be in the moment.
Yeah.
And you're going to say more because you're just filling space because you're like, I'm on stage.
Everybody's looking at me. I must talk.
Yeah, exactly. But it's really funny how, like, you can add so much clarity by taking stuff out. Yeah,
you get down to the core meaning of what you're trying to say by doing that.
And I would say when I work with people on their stage talking, that's a lot of times what I'm doing. It's just like, you're saying too much. Or you don't need the preamble. Like, just say the thing. Like, you don't need the... I was thinking about it the other day, and it's just like, no, just say the thing.
Yeah.
But that's good. That's good writing. That's the first step to writing stage talk, is you just kind of like put it all out there, and then you figure out what to take out. So anyway, let's close this one off.
All right.
I guess it's a recommendation. Maybe it's a sponsor. Arlene's Beans in Monument, Colorado.
Yes.
If you're in Colorado and you're going by Monument, absolutely go to Arlene's Beans. We've probably talked about it.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure we haven't.
I also apologize that like fully a third of this podcast is me talking about Mexican food. I just love it so much. But Arlene's Beans in Monument, it is a little family joint. It is total family, not fancy paper plates and plastic forks and whatever, but such great food, so well spiced, spicy. We went with Brian Stacks and his lovely wife Tree, and had lunch there this weekend. And boy, if you get a chance to go, I would absolutely recommend that. That is some real Colorado Mexican food. The real deal. It is. It's not quite like Mexico, and it's not quite like New Mexican. It's just it's the Colorado version of food, which I was saying the other day. I think Mexican food should just be food.
The default food
should just be Mexican food, and if we're having non-Mexican food, we should specify non-Mexican food. we're going to have American hamburgers tonight. And other than that, count on it being burritos.
Right. You want some food? Oh, yeah, I'd love some tacos.
Yeah, I would. I think we've eaten Mexican food like 4 days in a row now.
I think so.
And all I talk about, I just literally talk about it all the time. Salsas.
Right.
You want to get me excited? Let's talk salsa.
All right.
Anyway, of course, we're always sponsored by Performance High.
Voice and Music Studio.
And it's so great that you guys are sometimes watching this thing. And we've been doing it forever. Hi, Mom.
This is episode 70, I think.
Episode 70. We've just been knocking them out.
I've never done anything every week for 70 weeks in a row.
I mean, that's,
No. I think I might have water skied.
I'm sure you water skied every week.
But 70 weeks in a row, I mean, that's more than a year, so I wouldn't have taken a winter off. I think I did that in Florida.
Yeah.
I think there was 1 year in Florida. I lived there for 4 years, and I think there was 1 year I took 2 weeks off in the winter Christmas break. And the rest of the time I skied 5 days a week for 4 years straight.
That's a good point. As much as I have gigged, I bet I didn't put 70 weeks together where I literally... Well, I mean, you've got that Christmas, New Year's week.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to always play on New Year's. Yeah. But I bet I missed a week here and there with, even when I was doing it for a job, there was probably, Yeah. I mean, to be fair, you don't do your job 70 weeks in a row. You take vacation every once in a while.
True.
So...
Wow, so we are spectacularly successful.
We are wildly successful.
With the effort, not necessarily the result.
And still, women are not beating down my door. I don't get it. What do I need to do?
He's mine.
Okay, guys. We'll cut that out.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll
Thank
see you next week.